G'day everybody, today I'm building the KillaBoss and Great Gnashtoof and Yndrasta, the Celestial Spear. So straight away I'd just like to say that the design for these models on the sprue is very well planned out. They've made sure that a lot of the joins line up in discrete areas, like along the brickwork there. You won't even know it's there, it looks like it's just part of the wall. On Great Gnashtoof, it's along a lot of the folds of the cloaks, and in this example here it's underneath the steps and along where the brickwork would join on for the top of the steps. It's between the plates of armor and all these little areas where you wouldn't really notice that there's a join. You don't need to cover it up or use any filler, so it's well planned out. As you can see, the cowl or the sort of collar or whatever of her armor with the lightning sticks out behind the breastplate. It's all part of the same sculpt on the sprue, and then her head slots in from the back of that and sits forward of the cowl or collar or whatever you want to call it. It's quite interesting, that design choice. They're getting really tricky and quite fiddly with the way that they cut these 3D sculpts apart to put them on the sprue. The more they achieve in this manner, the more detailed they get, but yet the easier it is to go together. I'm really quite amazed at how simple these were to put together, which isn't to say that there isn't a few tough spots. As a quick side note, right now you can see I'm trying to get my brush into areas where I'm unsure whether I'd actually be able to paint in there or not before I glue it together. This is important if you're thinking of doing something in sub-assemblies for painting. Before you glue anything together, just place it and see if you can get your brush in there. And if you can't get your brush in there, don't glue it together. These models are quite good in the fact that they have those little sprockets or stubs that stick out and slot together, a bit like the push fit models from things like Warhammer Underworlds. And so you can sort of lightly press them together and get a bit of an idea of how it holds together before you glue it. But yeah, like I was saying, it's quite impressive the level of detail they're getting out of these 3D sculpts these days. And compared to a lot of the older sculpts, there's no sort of blank space which is filled with a chunk of plastic. All the hollow spots are neatly hollowed out and then well fitted, and yet there's very few pieces to actually glue together. I was surprised at how few pieces were on a sprue for each model, despite the level of detail in each model. These things have been very precisely designed and placed on the sprue in a way that gives you minimum work for maximum effect, and it's quite impressive. This model of the Celestial Spear, the winged warrior woman, is really gorgeous. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I mean, you see artwork and you see pictures of it on Games Workshop's website, but it never really gives you an idea until you handle it, and it's such a dynamic pose. The wings are such a nice big blank canvas. I'm going to dry fit them. I'm not actually going to glue them in because I want to paint her wings separately to the rest of the body and get a really nice finish on them. And overall, I think it's just a gorgeous sculpt, and this most likely, very likely, will be available for single sale down the track. They always do. And yeah, if you're looking for something fun to paint, if you want to paint big wings, but a smaller body, like a humanoid sort of scale body, yeah, pick it up. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to paint and a lot of basing options as well. So yeah, that's first one down. Now on to the second one. So this is the KillaBoss on Great Gnashtoof, and as you can see, I'm just sort of scraping away some of the mold lines, just cutting off little tabs of sprue with my Stanley knife, and then I go over it with the mold line scraper, which is one of those Citadel scrapers. I know a lot of people think they're a bit of a waste of money, but in all honesty, I've never regretted purchasing that mold line scraper down there. It does a really neat job. It's not as vicious as scraping with the back of a blade, I found. There's just something about it that makes it very very controlled. Yes, I know it looked like I was cutting towards my finger with the blade there, but trust me, I've already lost the end of one finger. A little cut isn't going to get much worse. And this blade is incredibly easy to control. I only have a tiny bit of it sticking out at a time. But yeah, coming back to the model, once again, they've put the joins in places where you really wouldn't notice it, right under the leg there where the folds of skin are on the beast, between his armour. There's a couple of spots which I will have to fill with a little bit of filler. Nothing can be perfect all the time, and that's just the way things are. So across the crest of his armour on the neck plate of the beast, the great Gnashtoof, there is a join line there. You could make the argument that it's where the plates of metal come together and leave it as it is and make it a feature, I guess. If you want, I will fill it. I'm planning on painting this as a display piece for a competition at my local game store in September, so I want him to look really nice and slick. Another one of the join lines is across the shoulder plates of the armor on the KillaBoss. This is kind of unavoidable as a few joins are. But I think if you're going to put joins anywhere, put them in a nice flat surface, which makes it easy to fill and easy to sand back. It's probably the best spot for them. Either tuck them away where no one can see them, or put them in a nice, easy to clean and scrape surface. Now you can see I'm just putting a tiny bit of glue on this. These things almost hold themselves together with those stud holes and the studs. Don't put glue in those, by the way. If you put a little bit of glue in there, it will act like a piston. It'll compress the fluid and you won't be able to get it out, and then it won't go together fully because of the compressed fluid. Air escapes from them. They're not airtight, but they are pretty much watertight. So never put any glue in those little piston holes. And if you do want to get it to go together a little bit easier, just get your knife and shave a little chamfer around the end of the little studs, and it'll go together a bit easier. But once again, there's very few pieces to this model, considering the level of detail that's gone into it. And I'm really looking forward to painting it. There's going to be some great opportunities for skin tone on this. And again, a lot of really good basing opportunities. If you're at all into doing your bases and making them interesting, I haven't glued mine down. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. And that's in part also because I want to paint him in sub-assemblies. So his shield will come off as well. It separates. I haven't glued that on, so I can get there in behind for his arm. And the rest of him is actually quite easily accessible. It's really just the shield and getting on the belly of the beast. So yeah, I'm looking forward to painting them. They went together reasonably easily. There wasn't even that much cleaning to do. And I'm really looking forward to painting the rest of the army. So thanks a lot for joining me for this video. And if you enjoyed it, please hit the like and subscribe buttons respectively. And I'd love to see you again at my videos and hitting likes and putting down comments. And I really enjoyed doing this build. Hopefully I'll go through some more of the models on camera for you guys. And I'd love to hear what you think of them. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you next time.